We have spent years trying to find the best boot in the backcountry environment. We're going to talk about 4 different pairs here today, what we have found to be the absolute best boot to take care of our feet during long multi-day missions in the backcountry. Here it comes. What's up, guys? At 3 of 7 Project, we are always on the quest to find the best boot that we can possibly buy. We spend a lot of time out in the backcountry, and foot care is extremely important. If you guys don't know that, if your feet get messed up, you're not going anywhere. And if you do move, if they're not messed up bad enough to stop you, it's going to be extremely painful if you develop blisters or trench foot or whatever it may be, right? But foot care is of paramount importance, and that's why we're always testing different boots and trying to find the best one. Now, I have 4 different pairs of boots that we have tested over about the last 3 years of running the basic course, which is the backcountry mission that we teach here at 3 of 7 Project. Each of these pairs of boots, we have a couple hundred miles on each pair. We've taken them through all different types of conditions, and I feel like we're in a good place now to give a good, honest review to you guys on what we have found to be the best pair of boots. So we'll start over here with this model. This is made by a company called Topo Athletic. This is called the Trail Venture waterproof. All right, now all of these boots that we'll be talking about here today are all waterproof boots. At least they are sold as waterproof boots. We'll see in a minute if they are truly waterproof, which I already know the answer to that because I've worn them. And that being said, when would you want a waterproof boot? In my opinion, a waterproof boot comes in handy on a multi-day backcountry mission. Also in a cold environment, you're going to want to keep your feet dry. But multi-day, you want to keep your feet dry, even if it's not cold, as dry as possible, even if it's not super cold. Not only for comfort, but to prevent trench foot, your feet becoming completely saturated. That gets really ugly real quick. If you are just going out for day hikes, or maybe you're fast packing and moving a lot, I would actually go with a non-waterproof boot, all right? So, but we're out for multiple days, so all these are waterproof. Now, this pair of boots right here from Topo Athletic, I don't even know, they sell it as a boot, I guess. I don't even know that I would call this a boot though. I think that this is more of a trail running shoe with a high top, okay? Now this ended up being a very comfortable boot, probably the most comfortable in the entire lineup because it is so light, it's got tons of cushion, super flexible, and you also have this big wide toe box on these Topo Athletic boots that, especially on the downhills, save your toes from getting jammed into the toe of the boot. So this is the most comfortable pair. Now that being said, usually at the cost of comfort is that you sacrifice durability, and that has been the main letdown of this pair of Trail Venture boots from Topo is the durability. Very quickly they began to fall apart, and we actually have holes that have developed in the outsole of the boot. We have the front toe cap that's actually tearing away from the boot. On this one we have the actual sole of the boot has already began to detach from the upper portion of the boot. So durability, I got these boots at Christmas time 2022. It is now about to be May 2023, and so these boots didn't last even anywhere close to a year, and they've fallen apart to the point now that they're pretty much only good for being out and cutting your grass. That's really the only thing that I would use these boots for, because they are falling apart. So durability was way subpar on these boots. Even though the comfort level was high, definitely not worth the investment that you would make in these things because they do fall apart so quickly. They have good grip. The outsole or the bottom grip tread portion, this is a Vibram sole. It does grip good, but I would not buy these again. because I've got to have something. If I'm going to spend, $100 or more on a pair of boots, it's got to last more than a year. So let's move up to this second pair that we have right here. This is made by a really popular company in the boot industry, Scarpa. Scarpa makes a lot of mountaineering boots. This is their Zodiac Plus GTX, again, waterproof. I was a huge advocate for this boot when I first bought it and started using it, because it was a tolerably comfortable boot, and it also seemed to be extremely durable. The main letdown of this boot over time, as I wore this thing, is the boot actually shrunk, and which is strange. I've never had a pair of boots do that before. I don't know what caused it. I don't know if it's something to do with the material that the boot's made out of, but the boot actually shrunk to the point that I can't get my foot in these boots anymore comfortably. I mean, my foot is extremely cramped in these things, and that was not the case when I first ordered these. So over time, they shrunk up. The laces on these boots also wore out extremely quickly. Now, when the laces, you're going to expect them to wear out eventually on any boot that you buy. I always replace my boot laces with some good old 550 cord, right? When I did that on the Scarpa Zodiac, I realized that this hook right here that hooks your laces in when you lace up the upper portion of the boot is not large enough to accommodate a 550 cord lace. So I also didn't like that. You can kind of hook it in there, but after a few steps, it's going to pop out of that little hook right there. So, if this boot wouldn't have shrunk up the way it did, I think that it would have been in the top running in terms of balance between durability and comfort, but I just can't get my foot in it comfortably anymore. So therefore, I no longer use these Zodiacs. As a matter of fact, they will probably go in the garbage after this video because I simply can't wear them. So let's move up from there. Now we are getting to the Kenetrek Hard Scrabble Hiker. Now here we have probably the most durable boot, possibly. This is in the top running for the most durable boot in the whole lineup, the Hard Scrabble Hiker. As you see with this boot, we have a full rubber shank that's basically encasing the whole bottom portion of the boot. What is important about that is this bottom portion just above the sole. This is what takes usually the most beating, especially traversing rocky terrain. It just takes a lot of beating, and that's a lot of times where you're going to see the boot fail, is right there just above the sole. This boot is a tank, man. It is a tank. It is actually waterproof. Above that rubber shank, we've got full grain leather. We've got strong eyelets that they lace up with. Although these have failed on me, I've had one of these eyelets that the laces run through. The little pin that holds the eyelet together actually came out. I've had to replace that pin a couple of different times. So they are pretty beefy, but that pin is obviously a weak point of these eyelets. Now, as durable as these boots are, as grippy as they are, waterproof, just tanks. If you guessed it already, you're right. The one thing that we sacrificed with all of that durability and just that build quality, we sacrificed comfort with these boots. And I've probably got 200 to 300 miles on these boots, and I have to be honest with you, almost every time I've wore the Kenetrek, by the second day, I have blisters on my heels. Now, that being said, that might not be the case for you. It may just be something to do with the shape of my foot. But these boots, one day, I'm good to go. The second day, especially if I'm doing a lot of climbing, they tear my heels up. I mean, they just destroy them. And it's for that reason that I no longer wear the Kenetrek boot. I kept wearing them for so long because I was hoping, as the boot really got broken in, that blistering on my heels would stop. and they would actually accommodate my foot shape. But that has not been the case. I just wore them last month on the last trip that I will ever wear these boots on, and they blistered my heels extremely bad. So these Kenetreks are also going to the garbage. They have a lot of miles on them. I got a lot of good use out of them. The toe cap right here did begin to peel off on these, even as heavy duty as they are. I had so many miles on them in harsh terrain that began to peel off, and I just used some shoe goo to, you know, glue that right back on, and they're good to go. But with all that durability, they didn't balance out the comfort portion for me. The last boot we're going to look at is actually the boot that our tech guy wears. He's the one that turned me on to these, all right? This is the Lowa Camino, and this is specifically the Evo GTX. And I bought this model boot in wide, all right, hoping lessons learned on the Scarpa shrinking up. I started to buy my boots in wide just for that reason. This Lowa, I have one trip in the backcountry with these boots. Tech guy has probably got, I don't know, 8 to 10 trips. So we've got cumulatively hundreds of miles in this Lowa Camino boot, and they've got a lot of good features. To me, this boot right now is the best one I've ever tested in terms of balance between durability and comfort. This one kind of hits the sweet spot for us. It's durable enough, it's heavy duty enough to support the foot, even with a full pack on. Usually when we're out in the backcountry, we always have a full pack on. It's grippy and durable enough to take the harshest rocks, and it is a truly waterproof boot, and it is infinitely more comfortable than the Kenetrek. A couple of cool features also about the Lowa that really turned me on to this model is the eyelets that the laces run through actually have little ball bearings that allow the laces of the boot to slide through the eyelet very smoothly. So that's a really cool feature. They also have this hook back here that's set kind of way back, where once you get the bottom portion of the boot tightened up, this hook right here is going to lock the bottom portion of the boot off very well. And as you continue to lace it up, if you'll see, they've got this little kind of tab right here. It's metal, and you actually loop your laces around that tab in between these two top hooks, and it holds the tongue of the boot on the center of your ankle, so the tongue doesn't end up shifting one direction or the other. So those are really cool features. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and I hope that it also saves you some money. Don't forget, your foot care is important. Whether you're just working hard every day or you're going on backcountry missions, you're taking care of your feet is going to keep you out there longer, and it's going to make your trip much more enjoyable. So, you know, don't skimp on your boot.